another day, another pump. Right? Another day. Let's do the math. Even if you gained 1 pound of muscle in 1 month, that's going to be 16 ounces, 30 days. Gee, man. Another day, another half ounce of beef accrued. And I'm, I guess the kind of idea I've always kind of heard coming up was you kind of recover individually and like build muscle on a muscle group after it's been trained. So it's like, you know, I'd hear a lot of stuff where it's like your chest is growing for a period of, 48 or something hours after you've hit it, and then it's recovered, and then you're ready to hit it again. Things along those lines. I wouldn't try to stress it too much. For the most part, as long as I feel like you're hitting everything consistently, you're kind of just constantly accruing small bits of size all over the place. But let's think about it. What's a half ounce? Right? That's it's what, like 14 paper clips. That'd be the equivalent weight of 14 $1 bills. If I pickpocketed, or if I reverse pickpocketed, $14 in singles into your jacket, you'd have no freaking idea, right? And if your entire, let's say you put the same outfit on that you've worn forever. Let's you're rocking jeans, shirt, hoodie, whatever, and you made it half an ounce heavier suddenly one day, you'd never notice, right? It's completely beyond the realm of noticeability, at least on a day by day kind of basis, right? But, 1 month, that's a whole pound. Right? A pound's pretty hefty. 4 months, 5 pounds, and that's just saying 1 pound a month as a gaining sort of rate, and pushing it a little further than that, totally within reason. But I've been I've been seeing the same shit a little bit, just trying to get into, don't be so concerned about day-by-day gains, because you're never even going to notice them anyway. But I think we get the gist there. But I will definitely make sure I earn my half ounce to potential ounce of muscle growth today by way of completely thrashing my chest. I was just watching an Attack on Titan TikTok edit. It was the Bertolt Reiner scene. Kind of the first. I don't want to spoil it. I know it's been out for a while, but you never know. And that's kind of getting me extra excited. So a little earlier of a lift. I'm trying to get back on more of like a noon, 1 o'clock sort of session, and then really chow down on food throughout the day. But I don't know. I think I'll see, because I look at it two ways. You can either get a really crazy kind of workout done earlier in the day, and then spend the rest of the day, completely filling up with food, or at least in like a meal context, right? You're eating in a recovery kind of aspect, or you can kind of carb up the entire day to the point where now it's 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock, you're completely full of carbs and you're ready to hit a lift, then fully fed. I used to be a bit more of a stickler where that's when I would only want to lift. Like if I didn't get enough meals in, then I didn't feel like I was ready to hit something. But now I'm a bit more open, and I think in terms of overall like potential kind of changes in progress wise, it's probably not extremely important. Right? Or I guess impactful would be a better description, right? If you work out at 4 o'clock and your buddy works out at 8 o'clock, look, he's not going to get any more noticeable gains than you are, unless he's grinding harder than you. That would be the only situation where I'd say you might get to step up your game. But yeah, in terms of what exactly I'm going to end up doing today, not totally certain. I was a little concerned about how my forearms were going to feel. Actually, what did I do? Yeah, I think my last heavy back day, I went too heavy, and I was using a little bit of forearm to kind of help pull the weight in, so I could tell they got a little bit of extra work. And then my last arm day, doing biceps first, was extra cool, so that also got my forearms a little bit. But today they're feeling good. You know, you can do a little bit of a gauge test where you don't need to have a Whoop or like your Apple Watch sleep score to gauge your, you know, kind of recovery and ability to, you know, go nuts in the gym. And it's just, you know, kind of feeling how strong your grip is, right? You know, me grabbing the wheel right here, I feel like I can really exert some freaking force into it. And if I'm ever under recovered, let's say I'm traveling, didn't get a good night's rest, dehydrated, underfed, whatever, like my total recovery score, if you want to call it that, would be subpar. Then I would be able to feel that I couldn't squeeze as hard, you know, because I don't know the exact, like, you know, kind of cause per se, but that's a pretty, I'm sure that's like an actually kind of study phenomenon. I feel like I heard somebody like, who would have brought that up? Ooh, crap. Man, I feel like a punk that I don't remember his name. West Side? I can't remember. But, yeah. So, if you're ever feeling extra strong grip-wise, that might be your cue to at least make sure you don't leave anything in the tank just because, you know, you're kind of ready to exert some force, you know? So, yeah. But I guess we'll see. Before I do anything, I always jump on the cables, push downs, face pulls, cable crossover, just to kind of get get everything that's going to be involved with the chest day, you know, warm and kind of loosened up. And then that'll be my cue to say, okay, do I want to do incline Smith? Do I want to do incline dumbbell? Do I want to start with cables? Do I want to start with maybe a machine press instead? You know, sort of things like that. And that's kind of something that I'll only know once I get in there, you know? Right? Unless you have like a, well, you know, if you have a favorite and every time you go to a restaurant you order the same thing, hey man, branch out, right? Try something else. Don't get the, you know, the shrimp and rice like you always do when you go to Miseritos. Maybe get something, you know, maybe get some, you know, carnitas, right? And that's an actual, if you know that reference, then you're really an OG. But I think nothing else to discuss. Let's just make this shit happen. 4 plates on this incline press seems like it might be a little much, so I'm going to exercise some restraint 3 and a 25. And that might not seem like a huge difference, but I mean, I think I'll just get better reps keeping it here instead of trying to go, you know, a touch heavier. Really, just kind of for its own sake, right? 4 plates is cool. A good set is cooler. So let's get amped up. And I want to make the kind of the overall theme of this workout just fucking nuts, you know. So I don't want any set to be potentially describable as, you know, that was okay. Like, okay is not the goal here. So I'm probably going to end up doing mostly intensifiers. So for this first set, I'll probably do some rest pause, basic, just hit failure first, stand up or sit up, take a few breaths, try to get at least, well, try to just get as many more as I can. 3, 4, 2, whatever. Sit again and repeat. So I think this is going to be a double rest pause. So like 10 seconds of breath in between those sort of miniature portions of the set. And then we'll just go from there. I don't really want to distract myself by thinking about what's next because I want my just entire focus right here, if you can kind of imagine. One more. Okay, that was good. One more just like that. Whew. Yeah, very nice. Okay. Okay. All right, I might just shake. I might make this one just a one drop set or pause rep. Okay. Let's pick something else. All right, a little bit of a style change, movement to movement. So, pretty solid heavy press. Not too heavy, of course, but heavy enough. So now, let's change it up to more of a decline fly. So, let me make sure these guys are at the right height. And same logic, trying to add an intensifier. So this will be phase one, straight, just kind of bent over flies, pretty much full pec. Because if you're upright doing downward flies, that's a bit more kind of lower chest, like dip action. But by just bending forward, it's still pretty much full flat chest. And then I'm going to switch from regular flies into mechanical drop set, where I'm using the same weight. I'm not even racking it, but just switching from a fly into more of a squeezing kind of press to be the burnout portion. But let's do 70. 90 is a little wild. Two. 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 Okay. Okay. One more of those at least. Okay. Okay. All right. Moving doing number 3, whatever that ends up being. The pec deck is calling my name. I know that much for sure. I'm gonna add some kind of extra stuff after, but let's just make this one maybe a rest pause, just like before. As many as I can do first, and then give it a second, do a few more. Alright, let's change it up a little for this next one. Throw in some flat chest press behind me. This set will be very similar to what I just did yesterday for legs as a little bit of a combo. I think there's a certain spark that comes from supersetting different styles of movements, right? So a press and a fly, pretty much as different as you can get for chest. So pec deck, same as normal. I mean, honestly, I'm just gonna do the exact same set I just did. Squeeze, go hard, burn out. And once I'm like pretty much cooked on the pec deck, flip around, and this is only 2 plates, this is very manageable weight, and here I'm gonna do a little bit quicker presses. Typically, I wanna do a slower press and really kind of hold the squeeze, but this is kind of more so in the style of lighter weight, quicker, rapid contraction and stretch, because it's toward the end of a workout, right? It's the same machine like I did before, almost. This is more flat, that one's more incline, but I'm doing it in a different way, you know, because right now most of the work is done. I'm just trying to really put the finishing touches on my chest and fill it up with as much blood as possible. So that's the plan with this kind of combo. Okay. I think one more set of something. Oh, that'll be the end of it for today. Whew. It's been a while since I've thrown this one in, but I do like it, even though I don't do that much. So the logic is grabbing a pair of dumbbells, and it's this is just basically a real squeezing kind of movement. There's no stretch involved, but as a pre-exhaust before doing some flies, right, it's pretty good. So I'll do the 45s, you know, pick a weight to a relative strength you can do, and you just kind of hold them, like dangle your arms forward and let your arms fall on top of your lats and have the dumbbells right on top of your thighs, or quads rather, and then you really just bend over a touch and pull each dumbbell across from you, like you're doing the bottom portion of a fly right here, just with one dumbbell at a time. And, you know, any exercise scientist might look at that and say, oh, well, that's an incomplete movement because you're not getting a complete stretch of the muscle. Look, it's in tandem with a fly, and it's an insane fucking squeeze. So I'd recommend at least trying it. Plus, if you're lean, like dieted lean, like veiny, then if you're wearing a stringer, this looks extra cool in front of a mirror because you're literally getting every cross fiber of your chest, like, you know, poking out. And it just looks sweet. But this into some flies, that should be good. All right, come on. Okay. Oh, goodness. Okay. Oh my gosh. All right. Let's pose down. We are done. There we go. So that was pretty good. Incline press. Cables, pec deck cable press. Or yeah, and then the finisher at the end. I forget how many exact sets that was, but doesn't matter. Okay? As many as essentially felt necessary to get me to a certain level of fatigued and pumped that I deemed just about right. You know, and really that's all I'm aiming for every time I come in here. I think I'm getting used to the heat. It's not so warm today. I think it's only like maybe 80 in here, which isn't that bad. So it's out of nowhere, that increase in temperature was actually a little more drastic to the point where it was kind of cutting into my ability to freaking, you know, recover between sets. But it feels pretty solid now. Let's see how we're looking. Oh. Oh, man. I can't even do a freaking proper lat spread because I can't like pull my arms up there. But no, just sitting, yeah, my chest feels rather freaking inflated. That was a very good chest day. And really that's what I'm aiming for, right? It's not just because being super pumped in the gym means that your workout was, you know, top tier awesome. But if everything in and out of the gym for your lift was set up accordingly, then you will be super pumped because you'll be well fed in a bulking context. You'll be all carbed up and full of, just full of glycogen. If you're fully hydrated, you're gonna have more than enough fluids to work with to actually draw from to pump up a certain muscle group, right? It's not like you just get pumped up from thin air. It's coming from, you know, pretty much evenly distributed fluids across the rest of your build. And if you go nuts on a set-by-set basis, at least on average, you're gonna end up, I mean, just freaking, you know, swollen like a damn tomato, right? So that's it's more so that a pump is a consequence of an awesome lift that's gonna result in progress or muscle maintenance while you get leaner, which is still progress, just in a slightly different kind of way, you know? So, and that's not even to mention like the sarcoplasmic stretch effect of whatever. Go nuts. And I feel like that was, well, I can leave feeling good. That's all I gotta say there. But let's roll. That was a good lift. That was good. I can't remember the last time I left the gym in anything but at least a decent mood, right? I mean, I'm not going to be ecstatic if I had kind of a scrappy lift and maybe I didn't really bring it. But yeah, I could. I mean, there's definitely been well, no, I don't think so. Well, okay, that's not true. That's not true. I leave the gym a little disgruntled every time I hurt myself. Like there was, I think it was like 3 Christmases ago, I pulled my hamstring really bad because I was lean, like dieted at the time, and I did leg curls way too heavy, like quick, bouncy reps. Had a good little. It was all. I feel like it was intramuscular, but just something kind of lower right side of my right hamstring, like the outer whatever. But it was a big pull. That pretty much sucked for a while. Same with any time I pull my chest, or like if I get like a shoulder thing, that always kind of sucks. But in terms of, you know, being related to my actual in the gym performance, which, you know, is being graded on my own kind of like subjective scale, yeah, man, yeah, I'd say 99% of the time I'm leaving feeling good. And even if even if the gym session didn't exactly go to plan, or maybe I get thrown off, or I messed it up, or whatever, then I'm probably still going to just find something to be happy about, because it's going to make me feel better. You know, it's a very direct use of the you know, kind of like a look on the bright side kind of mentality. You know, and if you're really going through some shit, right? I mean, you're. I remember there was this one. I was looking at this one thing. It was kind of an interesting. It's sort of like a Buddhist kind of thing. I don't remember the exact theology, but the gist is like there's basically 6 states of being, or states of mind, right? If you're just like, there's one. It's like I think they called it the human realm. When you're in the human realm, like this is what, you know, a guy who's into this would say. He's like, you're just kind of, you're chilling, things are good, whatever, right? If you have a badass workout, or you accomplish something really cool, and you're just getting that kind of like ecstatic, like just sort of accomplished kind of feeling, that's its own thing. That's another kind of state of being. And there's one for when you're just fucking pissed. You're like not thinking coherently. You're like, everything sucks. Yeah, right. We've all been there. So it's not as easy to just be in that state of being and think, oh, I'll just look on the bright side, you know. Oh, I just crashed my car into a ditch. I'll look in the bright. Like in the moment, it's not so easy as just you know, thinking that, right? But at least with smaller things, when you got decent control over your own kind of thoughts, it's gonna help, man. You know, you have a set where you were a little bit thrown off. There's 2 situations, at least 2 extremes you could go for. Like, let's say you I just saw a little kind of TikTok like this. You kind of did a little bit of a deload week. You carbed up. You got some really good rest. You're ready to hit a PR set. You know, 225 for 10. You've only ever done it for 8. This is your week to hit 10. You come in. It's your first working set. You're warm. You're ready. One plate feels heavy. Like, you know, 225 for 10 is just not going to happen, right? You can either let that throw you off your game for the entire lift, or you can just kind of be like, you know, whoop-de-doo, let's keep going. I got other working sets that are going to make me stronger to actually do what I want to be able to do later on, right? So if just something relatively small throws you totally off your game for an entire lift, or, you know, more like in life for like an entire day, or you get in a rut, not good, man. You know, you're supposed to be able to defend against that kind of thing, right? If you stub your toe, you're not supposed to go to the hospital. You're supposed to be like, oh, that sucks. Well, you know, I'll be all right, whatever. Right? You gotta. It's an underrated skill to be able to thug it out. You know, now, you know, sometimes you're gonna be going through some shit that's a bit trickier to thug out than others, but that's when you really got to do it, because it's almost even more important to be able to do it when things get a little trickier, right? Anybody can come in and have a good lift and stick to their diet and do their cardio when they're feeling good and the weather's nice and they're hanging out with all their buddies all the time and not a care in the world. Honestly, that's right now. Summertime. It's about to be mid-July, you know, and it's no longer as crazy of a heat wave, so now it's just nice and, you know, warm and cool out, right? You know, it's easy to grind when things are going your way. So just try to keep that in mind anytime you get thrown with a freaking, you know, wrench in your gears. But that's not really a specific tip. It's kind of just something to think about whenever, right? But no, planning when I go home, I'm talking rice and some canned chicken. Personally, Do not mind it whatsoever. 50 grams of protein right then, fully prepped, not dry or anything. Like, I don't understand the hate for the canned chicken. Why doesn't canned tuna get the same amount of hate? What's the difference? If anything, wouldn't tuna be weirder? It's like this weird-ass creature swimming through the ocean, right? We're all kind of a bit more connected with chicken. But either way, have a big-ass meal and drink a ton of water. I think my water intake game has been a little off. But today was very good. Like, just, I haven't stepped on the scale for a few weeks, but just judging off of the mere look from that pose down, and it's also, you know, have to do with the fact that I was just extra pumped today. But yeah, that is some progress if I've ever seen it, you know. And it doesn't have to be gaining 50 pounds in 3 weeks. That's what I'm talking about, you know. And if anything, you should be the one who's the most kind of sensitive to small changes in your build, because you're the one who's looking at it all the time, and you would know. It's like, oh, I've never seen that vein before. I've never seen that insertion or striation or anything like that before, you know. So if you can start to notice those a little more, if you can increase your sensitivity of detection of gains, no matter where they are. I'm talking like front of your calves in that little tibialis kind of area, or like the back of your forearms with all this like fancy kind of stuff. The more you can notice that and say, holy crap, what I'm doing is working, the better. But I think that's all I got for today. Very good lift. Glad I was able to bring it, at least on most of those sets. So now I just gotta translate from lifter to eater and start getting some food in my system. But I'll see you for back tomorrow.